If you're a widow or widower collecting Social Security right now, there's a real chance the agency is sending you the wrong check every single month. And not by a small amount. We're talking about a gap that can run over $1,300 a month. Not a one-time fee, not a clerical error that gets fixed automatically. A permanent, ongoing shortfall that keeps repeating every 30 days until somebody catches it. Here's the part that makes this so easy to miss. The Social Security Administration doesn't audit your file looking for benefits you qualify for but never asked for. Under federal law, survivor benefits require their own separate written application. If you never filed that specific form, SSA isn't going to call you about it. They're not allowed to assume what you meant. They process what's in front of them, nothing more. And this isn't a rare edge case. Independent reviews of Social Security data have pointed to this exact gap affecting hundreds of thousands of surviving spouses nationwide, with uncollected survivor benefits adding up to billions of dollars every single year. This isn't a handful of unlucky people. It's a structural blind spot in how the system is built, and it's quietly affecting far more households than most people realize. If that sounds like it could be you, or it could be your mother, your aunt, your neighbor down the street, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to ask for and exactly who to call. And if you know someone who lost a spouse in the last few years, this is the video to send them today, before we even get to the numbers, because the form we're about to cover has a closing window, and every week that passes is a week that can't be recovered. Let's start with the legal mechanism, because once you understand this, the rest of the video will make complete sense. Social Security treats retirement benefits and survivor benefits as two entirely separate programs, even though they live under the same roof. Filing for your own retirement benefit does not automatically file you for a survivor benefit. They require two different forms. The survivor application is Form SSA-10. If a spouse passes away and the surviving partner is already collecting their own retirement check, the system has no built-in trigger that says, switch this person to the higher amount. Nothing happens unless SSA-10 gets filed. A surviving spouse is entitled to receive up to 100% of what the deceased spouse was collecting, if that number is higher than their own. Most widows and widowers are entitled to the larger of the two checks, never both stacked together, just whichever one is bigger. And here's the problem. A huge number of surviving spouses simply continue collecting their own smaller benefit for years because nobody at SSA flagged the difference for them. There's no automatic comparison, no letter saying you qualify for more. You have to know to ask. There's also a detail almost nobody mentions. Survivor benefits can start as early as age 60, which is 2 full years before a regular retirement benefit can begin at 62. If you're between 60 and 62, widowed, and not collecting anything yet, you may already be eligible for survivor benefits right now, even though you'd normally think you have to wait. Taking the survivor benefit early does reduce it somewhat, but for a lot of widows and widowers, an early reduced survivor benefit is still larger than waiting on their own record. That's a decision worth getting in writing from SSA directly, not guessing about on your own. Let's put a real number on this, so it's not abstract. Picture a 66-year-old retired school administrator. We'll call her Carol. Carol filed for her own retirement benefit at 64 and started receiving $1,150 a month. 2 years later, her husband passed away after 38 years of marriage. His Social Security benefit at the time of his death was $2,490 a month. Nobody told Carol she needed to separately file Form SSA-10 to switch over to the survivor benefit. She assumed Social Security would handle it automatically, the same way her bank account updates when a direct deposit comes in. It doesn't work that way. For 2.5 years, Carol kept receiving her own $1,150 check. The benefit she actually qualified for the entire time was $2,490. That's a gap of $1,340 every single month for 30 months before a benefits counselor finally caught it during an unrelated appointment. Do the math on that, and it's over $40,000 that should have belonged to Carol and never did, simply because the right form was never submitted on her behalf. Carol didn't do anything wrong. She didn't miss a deadline on purpose, and she certainly wasn't trying to defraud anyone. The system simply isn't built to chase you down with money you're owed. It's built to process exactly what you hand it. And Carol's situation isn't unusual. It's the single most common pattern benefits counselors report seeing among recently widowed retirees: an honest person, an honest mistake, and a check that was never corrected until someone outside the agency caught it. Now here's why this is urgent, not just unfortunate. Social Security only pays survivor benefits retroactively up to 6 months before the date you file. That's the legal cap, full stop. Every month beyond that 6-month window is gone permanently. There's no appeal, there's no exception process, there's no letter you can write later asking for it back. Once that window closes on a given month, that month's money simply ceases to exist as a recoverable amount. So if a spouse passed away 3 years ago and SSA-10 still hasn't been filed, only the most recent 6 months can ever be recovered. Everything before that is permanently lost, not because of any wrongdoing, but purely because of timing. This is why we're not telling you to look into this eventually. We're telling you to act on this within the next week, because every single week of delay is a week of benefit that can never be reclaimed once it passes the 6-month mark. One more thing worth knowing: remarriage can affect survivor eligibility, but the rule is narrower than most people assume. If you remarry after age 60, that remarriage generally does not disqualify you from your former spouse's survivor benefit. A lot of widows and widowers avoid remarrying for years because they were told, incorrectly, that it would cost them this benefit entirely. That's worth confirming directly with SSA in writing, not assuming based on something you heard secondhand. Before we get to the steps, let's clear up the 2 mistakes that trip people up the most. Mistake 1: waiting for SSA to send a notice. People assume that since SSA already has their spouse's death certificate on file from when they reported the death, the agency will eventually catch up and adjust the payment on its own. It won't. The death record and the survivor benefit application are 2 completely separate processes inside SSA's system. One does not trigger the other. Mistake 2: assuming a small estimate means it's not worth pursuing. Some widows and widowers are told, informally, by a friend or even a well-meaning representative, that the survivor benefit probably isn't much higher than what they're already getting. Don't take that as final. The only number that counts is the one SSA gives you in writing after a direct comparison. Estimates given over the phone without pulling your spouse's actual earnings record are frequently wrong, and they're wrong in both directions. So here's exactly what to do in order. 5 steps. Step 1. Pull out your most recent Social Security benefit statement, the one with the current date on it, not last year's. Look at the benefit category listed. If it says retirement benefit only and you are widowed, you need to keep going to Step 2 immediately. Step 2. Call the Social Security Administration directly at 1-800-772-1213. Tell the representative you want to apply for survivor benefits under Form SSA-10 and ask them to compare your current monthly benefit against the survivor benefit amount you would receive. Ask them to give you both numbers in writing or read them back to you clearly before you hang up. Write down the date of the call and the name of the representative you spoke with. Step 3. Schedule an in-person appointment at your local Social Security field office if at all possible. Bring your own Social Security card, your spouse's Social Security number, your marriage certificate, and your spouse's death certificate. Missing documentation is the single most common reason these applications get delayed by months, so come prepared the first time. Step 4. Ask specifically about the 6-month retroactive window and ask the representative to confirm the exact date your spouse passed away is on file, because that date determines how much of the gap can still be recovered. Step 5. File Form SSA-10 as soon as the appointment allows. Don't wait for a follow-up call. Don't wait to think it over. Every week you wait is calculated against you, not for you. Let's recap what we covered, because these are the numbers that matter. Survivor benefits are never automatic. They require a separate form, SSA-10, filed on purpose. A surviving spouse can receive up to 100% of what their deceased spouse was collecting if that number is higher than their own. Survivor benefits can begin as early as age 60, 2 years earlier than regular retirement. Carol's real gap was $1,340 a month for 30 months because nobody filed that form on her behalf, over $40,000 that never should have been missed. SSA only pays retroactive survivor benefits 6 months back from the filing date, nothing more, no exceptions. And the only thing that protects you is filing the form now, not eventually. If you're widowed and collecting your own retirement benefit right now, pull that statement, make that call, and ask specifically for Form SSA-10. And if you know someone who lost a spouse in the last few years, a parent, an aunt, a neighbor, send them this video today. Not next week. The 6-month window doesn't wait for next week, and neither should you. Subscribe so you catch the next rule SSA isn't going to call you about. And share this with the widow or widower in your life who needs to hear it.